Intellectual Dopeness.
Awakening Minds from Hypnosis.
And I'm Santi.
And I'm Rose.
And tonight, you guys, we're going to talk about the infamous Kanye. Like, we're talking about Kanye West. We know everybody is, talking about it. It's the trending topic right now because everybody's saying Kanye is going crazy. But obviously, isn't that what they say about all celebrities when they come out and start talking some real stuff? You know what I'm saying? They always want to say something about their being, either they're going to rehab or something. They have to put them in a psychiatric evaluation ward or something like that. And it's just like, come on now. After we see the repeated pattern of this going on with the celebrities, like, we have to start asking, like, well, what's really going on? You know what I mean?
And on top of that, Kanye West has always been known to rant. He's always been one to have something crazy or off the wall to say. He's known for saying off the wall stuff. So it's like, why all of a sudden now when he decides to speak truth and shed light on a few different situations, he's crazy and he needs to be in a psych ward? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's really questionable. And so today, that's what our topic is discussing. Like, Kanye, is he really crazy? Why do we need to maybe pay attention to some of the things that people say, who they accuse of being crazy? Because obviously, Kanye, before he came out saying that real shit, like, Kanye wasn't, on top of, A-list celebrity, everywhere you turn on TV, Kanye's, on the Kardashian show, he's like one of the most popular celebrities right now.
Yes,
and it's expected for Kanye to kind of be, a little, they want to call him kooky and crazy, but like they say, every genius, has been a little off, right? So Kanye says some of the, realest stuff and finds different artistic or innovative ways to express his way of his vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing about Kanye is I can see that he's a visionary. Like, he does have this creative way of expressing himself.
Yes, he does.
So, like, Kanye, pretty much, I want to understand why people want to just go with whatever the media says, because clearly there's a lot of celebrities that speak out and express what really goes on behind the scene. And so Kanye has gone up and spoken and even expressed how he's pretty much, jeopardizing his, well-being by even expressing himself, but he wants to come out and be honest.
And I feel like another good point that he made was how, we spend so much time just, getting all our information from the internet and not doing any research and not really digging deeper for ourselves, and that's something that's very important because we're so quick to believe an article that is, published on the internet. Okay, well, who is this person? Is it published by an actual, newscast company? And if it is, what is the full story behind it?
Yeah.
We're so quick to just read a headline and be like, oh, okay, that's what it is, and skim through everything else. And meanwhile, you could have missed a very important message simply because you haven't taken the time to do the research to see the backstory of the things. So, and I think that's important because as he's telling us, hey, make sure you're taking the time to look further into things and not just taking things at face value. Everybody's taking at face value that he's gone crazy and said something and in a rant, when in all reality, yes, of course Kanye rants, but actually this time he was speaking realness.
Exactly. And I was listening to some of the interviews, and on the Breakfast Club, they were trying to debate on whether he should have Donkey of the Day. And it really, once I started listening to it, I seen that they had misinterpreted everything that he had said about Donald Trump, because people are, like, basically in the headlines, they're trying to find any way to, like, demean his character and to make his fans think less of who he is. So obviously they're going to bring up Donald Trump because they know how many people just cannot stand him. So in the midst of him bringing up Donald Trump, the point I believe that he was making was that Donald Trump can go on CNN and all these news and have all these different very disrespectful, racist remarks
He
and
can
just says whatever he wants.
Yeah, say what
and
he
get away
want
with
and get
it
away with
and
it.
still win. You know, and that's what Kanye was saying. He was like, I want my Trump shit. Like, you know, I'm saying whatever the fuck I want to say, and I'm still gonna fucking win. And so that was his point with the whole Donald Trump thing. And so people took all of that out of context. Everything that he said got taken out of context because people are just riding with the headlines and what the media says and not really digging a little bit deep. And that, like you said before, Kanye West talked about, you know, the internet and how a lot of times there's, he made a really great point actually about this because this was something that I've noticed too back in the day, but it's like something now that people are catching on to and realizing is really going on with the internet. But they have something called echoing that he brought up, where you go and you go on the internet, you search Google, and your search engines pretty much collect data on what you research. And so next thing you know, you're getting ads on Facebook and getting ads, you know, emails and things like that about things that you actually research. And so that's the reality of it, is that the internet is collecting data on all of us and able to regurgitate what it is that we are actually interested in, what types of, you know, things that we read into. And so the fact that Kanye put that out there like that, exactly, you know, that's why, you know, they want to make it seem like Kanye is crazy, because they don't want people to really understand those different concepts.
Of course, you know, when you hear somebody like Kanye West using his platform to actually spread some truth and spread light, that's not something that they want. Any rapper, singer, artist, activist of any nature who has been in Hollywood or the music industry and has tried to use their platform for better causes, you don't hear much from them after that. And that's not coincidental at all. That's, you know, and that's something that we need to question also. Like, what happened to these people after they decide to say something that we actually need to be worried about?
Exactly. And I mean, he was really exposing to just the way that propaganda works. Like, obviously, it's all politics. It's all about, you know, who can pay the radio, you know what I'm saying, the most money or whatever they can get out of it to make their, you know, their music be played the most. And so basically, like, the way that we view the music industry, like, everybody thinks they have a fair chance in becoming like a celebrity and doing their music and things like that. And my thing is, there's a long line of extreme talented people in this world that I'm sure there's somebody in the world that's like doper than Beyonce. But at the end of the day, they hype these celebrities up to make us feel like we're less than them, and that these celebrities, like, nobody can become as great as they are. And my thing is, when you realize that the music industry is set up about politics, and it's not really about how great you can be to make it to this point, they don't want you to lose that concept of you thinking that that's what is the actual case. But they set the standard as far as what they're going to allow in the music industry. So in reality, we hope to be as great as Beyonce, and we want to be as great as Kanye and be as great. And we look at it like, oh my gosh, we all have that same opportunity. But it's really about what sacrifices are you willing to make to be in that point. It's not about how great you are.
No, it's not. Because if it was about how great you are, we would have a lot of more J. Cole's, we would have a lot more Erykah Badu's, we would have a lot more Lauryn Hill's. It's like, you know, we have to wonder, why is it that all we hear on this radio is bullshit? Like, I'm sorry, but the quality of music that we listen to is absolutely degrading, and it's very repetitive. I'm tired of hearing about cars and hoes and shoes and bricks, and I'm tired of hearing about that. Give me some substance. You know, it's so rare that I can find music of substance that when I hear it, I value it and I have this high appreciation for it. But usually if I want to listen to something that is actually with a message, I got to go back to the 90s.
Basically.
90s or beforehand. So it's like, you know, we have to question, why is it that all we hear on this radio is this bull crap that's not talking about nothing? And it's because they don't want us to think. You know, if you hear something that is innovative on the radio, or, you know, something that gets your blood going in a good way and make you question the world, like, that's something that is going against what is benefiting the plan.
Right.
You know, and the plan is to keep minds low, to keep vibrations low, to keep people all, you know, following the herd and not thinking, so we can continue to work for these corporations and slave until the day we die.
Exactly. And I mean, if you think about the history behind, you know, I mean, how the media can turn around and force, or not necessarily the media, because they are just the people that put the idea out there to, you know, to push a certain ideology about somebody. But the fact that they can forcefully take Kanye and put him in psychiatric ward
against his
own will. Yeah, and the way that they even put the verbiage in these headlines about how, you know, for his own safety and things like that, like, you know, that stems from like the Soviet Union, and that stems from like Nazi Germany. Like back then, the same type of propaganda was going on, and the same type of things would happen if you were going against the grain. They would basically send you to these concentration camps, and you'd be fucking, you know, experimented on and things like that. And so now that's have only evolved into something different, where now, you know, they put you in the psychiatric ward. Next thing you know, you're under some mental programming. These are things that's going on behind the scene in the music. You know, B.O.B. has come out and literally have expressed how he knows that he has a clone of him. There's a clone out there of him. And so there's celebrities that come out and we just turn the other cheek and just like, oh, whatever, you know.
But my
we don't
question
believe
is
that.
Why though? You know, because it's like,
how would it benefit them to
how
come
would
out?
it benefit them to come out? It's like they're putting everything on the line to tell us something real, and every time we hear these things, it's labeled as crazy, and you know, they're losing their mind. And it's like, no, of course that's what they want you to think. They want you to think that these people are going crazy, because God forbid that you really know the truth behind how things work in this nation, and the things and the effort that goes into keeping the mind at a lower vibration.
Exactly. It's true. There's so much effort that goes into it. And so these celebrities, like the thing about it is, it's like we feel so connected to these celebrities because throughout our growth and, you know, progression in our own lives, we've been listening to these same people for years, you know what I'm saying? So you literally feel connected to them. So like for me, somebody who's really been into music, been into hip hop, rap, you know, R&B, all different types of genres of music, but like specifically hip hop and R&B music, you know what I'm saying? I kind of grew up on that. So like listening to these artists, I feel connected to them, and I care, you know, enough to listen to what's going on and not just the hype. Like a lot of times people are following these celebrities because of the hype of what the media is making them be. But then once you've just grown up listening to certain things, you feel a connection to them. So when you hear that they could be suffering from these different scenarios, you know what I'm saying? You feel connected to it, like, well, damn, you know, you want to understand more about it. So, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like these celebrities go through so much, you know, and when like people like Tupac that we like love and cherish his, you know, his memory and what he represented. And Tupac was one of the first people that was rebellious against, you know, those secret, you know, societies or whatever you want to call it that
and look
are
what happened to him.
Exactly, you know. So Tupac, you know, exposed that type of thing, and we believe in Tupac. We, you know, we believe in what he stood for,
always and forever.
So it's like at the end of the day, as you know, it's years and years that have gone by since Tupac, and more celebrities have come out and spoke up against the same group of, you know, or
and
same
it's
entity.
like it's always kind of along the lines of the same type of story. So it's like if you have all these different people from all these different times having the same story and being labeled as crazy, now that's something that we need to stop and take under consideration. This is not to, you know, dismiss mental illness, because it is definitely real. It is definitely something that a lot of people struggle with in our community and around us that we don't even know that they're struggling with. So it's definitely not to dismiss mental illness by any means. But when you have someone that is of higher stature and has the ability to shape the minds of younger people, saying some things of a nature that everybody needs to be hearing, and they're being labeled as crazy, now we have to really stop and question, why is that? And is this person really crazy? And if they are crazy, why can't we still take the time to process the information for ourselves and come to our own conclusion and break down what is true and what is not true for us? You know, we're too quick to judge and not to really stop and take a second and think. You know, we just be like, oh, well, what you think about it? Oh, yeah, me too. And keep it moving. No, let's really process these things for ourselves and come to our own conclusions from our own experiences, not just from what someone else has said. And that's one of the points that he was making. So many different things out here that are deceiving us one way or another. So it's very important that we just take the time to educate ourselves. And I think that was the main point that he was trying to say. Educate yourself, you know, and be aware of the possibilities of what can happen around you, and don't just think that everything is one set way, because you never know.
Exactly. And like one of the key factors that he made was just like he said, expressing that, you know, the radio is lying to you, the internet is lying to you, Facebook is lying to you. So at the end of the day, all these things that you seek your knowledge from is not based on the truth. You know what I mean? So it's like the only way that you're gonna find the truth is if you have to ask questions. You know. So the fact that Kanye West like used his platform that normally all these people that are there at his concert probably wasn't here to like even listen to that. But there's a lot of people that he reached that felt that was heartfelt, you know what I'm saying, and really could understand and relate to what he was saying, because
could appreciate what he was saying.
Appreciate it, because there's people like us that want to hear celebrities speak out and be honest about what's going on. And
it was refreshing. It was refreshing, especially to see someone of his nature that, you know, you have to make, like you said, you have to make sacrifices to get to these different levels in the music industry. It's not about who's the most talented. It's about who's going to put the most on the line. So to see a man who is clearly very, very advanced in this game take the time to just, for 1 second, be like, hey, you're being lied to. This is what's really real. This is what you need to do. Like, that's something we need to take under consideration. That's something that we really need to pay attention to. We pay attention to him when he's saying something else. Why people still talking about Taylor Swift in that whole incident. So if we can keep remembering that, why can't we keep remembering this? And why can't we take this information and allow it to empower us and to want to move forward in an innovative way that can help slowly but surely trying to put information out there to make this man, to discredit this man and who he is. And, you know, it is a process. So, you know, I appreciate the fact that he's taken the time to even speak out on such issues. I wish a lot more celebrities would use their platform as a way of waking up the minds of people instead of just going along with the program. You know, it would be nice if more people would use their platform in the way he has.
Exactly. You just don't have the freedom to speak and freely, you know, like you should be able to. And I think at the end of the day, you know, these celebrities make sacrifices to be where they are in the music industry, because at the end of the day, they make so much money, way more money than, you know, they should be able to make just from, you know, saying some catchy shit to a nice beat. I feel like they are really overpaid. So the reality of it is, you know, you get all this pay, you get all this, you know, celebrity, all this fame, you know, and the thing about it is once you get all this fame, it doesn't necessarily belong to you though. Like, it's, you use your fame to control. There's a certain message that they want you to portray to the people. So at the end of the day, you have to allow, you know, well, Kanye West is not going to allow that to happen. He's going to like say what he wants to say. And so it's gotten to a point, probably he's gotten to this level of success that he realized, man, I've sacrificed a lot. But he probably sees beyond more than what he could see when he first became a celebrity, because I'm sure a lot of people get into the music industry and doesn't really understand what they're getting themselves into, and then they get to a point where they've seen it all and they're tired and they're like, you know what, this is not what I'm really about. They start questioning themselves. That's when they start going within, because now they so have been taken away from them pretty much, so they have to kind of reevaluate their whole fucking situation. Like, what the fuck was I thinking, and how did I get to this point? And you know, so many celebrities like J. Cole have spoken on that. Like, a lot of celebrities who speak in their music and express how, you know, they go through these processes where they feel like their soul doesn't belong to them. And so these celebrities make songs about it and everything, and have all this symbolism in the music that express that. So at the end of the day, let's stop questioning, let's start questioning rather, you know what I'm saying, what's going on in Hollywood, and like listening to these celebrities when they speak out, and not just, taking it for face value and deciding like, oh, and just writing them off as crazy. Because Dave Chappelle had a really good quote, about that. I mean, it was something that he was saying, it was I don't know if it was on HBO, it was some program that he had where he was speaking on a situation about Martin Lawrence and some other people who like are really strong-minded people, very talented people that have gone, quote unquote crazy because they were saying somebody was trying to kill him and things like that. And so he made a really good point that maybe it's not the person isn't crazy, maybe there's some things crazy going on behind the scenes in Hollywood that people don't really understand. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that's the reality of it, is that we don't necessarily understand. We only understand what is put in front of us. So we don't do enough digging to understand what's going on behind the scene. We're always going to think that this far-fetched shit that these celebrities are talking about just could never happen, but we got to stop being in denial, because so many things have happened that, like I said before, that we wouldn't even expect to be happening, like Donald Trump being the fucking president, right? But at the same time, shouldn't we have expected that since The Simpsons predicted it and all these other different things that told us before we got to that point that
Kanye
West is the only person that have come out and spoke on these different topics. So it's like, we've had Roseanne Barr, we've had B.O.B., we've had fucking, child stars, people that come out and express the reality of what's going on behind the scene. So this won't be the first time. It's not, definitely hasn't been the first time. It won't be the last time. And so, we look up to these celebrities and we give them so much of our energy and everything. But when we know that something could be going on behind the scene, that it just doesn't make sense. Like, we should have a little more concern to like hear them out and be like, wow, that's kind of deep. That's kind of serious. That, but I can understand why people would think Kanye is crazy. Those are the people that haven't really looked outside of just the norm, because he did mention something about like Mark Zuckerberg looking for aliens and all this stuff. So it was like I could see people just like totally being like, oh my gosh, what's going on with Kanye? But like at the end of the day, like in reality, have you ever reflected back and thought about that? Like, are we the only people that exist in this entire infinite universe? You know what I'm saying? The type of entities that exist. So if he's talking about aliens, I mean, hey, I'm not gonna write it off because he said something about aliens either. Like, a lot of things that goes on behind the scene, a lot of those celebrities are aware of too, because celebrities are like at a level of politicians almost, because they're more powerful than politicians because of their influence on the mass, majority of people of the world. So celebrities almost have more influence. That's why they use celebrities to, in their political races and stuff, they try to get these celebrities on board and get people to vote for this person or vote for that person. And so the reality of it is that the celebrities are more powerful than the president, are more powerful than a lot of these people that we look up to. So, the reality of it is these celebrities and their fame, allows them to influence us. And so, like, when you have somebody like Kanye coming out and, like, putting his life on the line to express some real shit, let's just take a moment to listen, hear him out, and not just let him be labeled as crazy, because we all know, Kanye is a little off, but all geniuses are, what I'm saying? Albert Einstein was off, wasn't he? And all these other people who are, have a lot of information to knowledge may be looked at as like.
We also need to understand that when we're being bombarded with all of this crap, a lot of times that's a distraction from something that is way much bigger that is happening in the background. It's like, oh, we'll hear, something that's going on. Oh, Kim Kardashian got robbed. Okay, well, that was around the same time where it was like this bombing over in Syria that killed all these kids. So it's like, we need to understand that a lot of times this is just a distraction to keep us from looking outside of, our own little box, and then on top of that, outside of the United States. it's no telling how many times we have almost come close to war and we don't even know about it. So, you know, we just need to understand that a lot of things is more deeper than just at the surface level, and we should start to question things. I think that's the main point.
Thank you guys for tuning in again with Intellectual Dopeness.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.